Hey guys, Brandon from Fathom Inshore. Today I'm talking with Captain Matt Littleton of Friendly City Fishing from Swansboro, North Carolina. What's going on, Matt?
What's going on, Brandon?
How you doing?
Oh, I'm pretty good, man.
Let's get into this.
That's right.
Today we're going to be talking to Matt about our jig heads. He's been using our jig heads for a couple years now, helping us with some design features and some colors, and thought I'd bring him in to show us a few tips and what you've been doing with them.
Yeah, I've had nothing but great experiences with the Fathom jig head line. My personal favorite is going to be the bug eye jig. Between that and the Pro Select, it's pretty much personal preference. I prefer the bug eye. I just like the way the hook sets a little bit better. It stays a little off the bottom better. The Pro Select, it's a great jig head. It's pretty much what I use on my charters. When I'm tournament fishing, I love the bug eye. It's really just a good way to go. And then the belly blade is your Flounder killer. Put that right there with anything pink on the back of it. Run that across the bottom. Flounder can't stand it. They gotta have it.
So what colors have you been using with the best success?
Unpainted is always, just the classic go-to. White and red, another pair of classics everybody uses. And then just depending on the water you're in, you can always kind of switch it up. If you're in, a dark colored water, instead of matching the bait to the water, I always like to contrast it. So if I'm in dark water, I'll try to use one of the brighter colors. And then if I'm in clear water, I'll go with something darker just to stand out.
Okay. Any particular size that you like the best?
For the most part, 1/8 ounce is going to be what we use for most everything. I like 1/8 ounce just for anything. Helps keep the bait just off the bottom so you're not catching, snagging on everything.
Right.
But then whenever you start talking about flounder fishing or any kind of deeper water or current, you can go up, to your 1/4 ounce. And then if you're fishing off the beach, 1/2 ounce is a good way to go.
Okay. One thing we did different, and this was some suggestions from you and some other captains, like we went with a little extra strong hook. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we got the Mustad Black Nickel. This is a 2X strong hook, and so it's really perfect for redfish tournaments, trout fishing, a little bit of everything, but we did upsize it a little bit so that it would be nice for some of the redfish tournaments.
Yeah, that's very true. There's a lot of companies around that are using smaller hooks, and whenever you're on tournament day and you've got that stud on, you want to guarantee you're going to get them to the boat without having to worry about product failure. And with a hook like that, it's going to happen.
Yeah, and plus I've noticed I like a little bit wider gap with my hook. Just if you're using like a shad or some a little bit deeper body bait, it's nice to have a little more hook hanging out of it too.
Yeah, especially on a jig head, hook exposure is going to be what gives you the hookup. So
yeah,
you want to make sure you've got that clearance.
Now, do you care much about eyes? Do eyes make a difference for you, or?
Depending on how you're fishing and just the time of year, but for the most part, I do believe an eye on it is what is going to help give you connections whenever you're hooking up. I mean, a drum has a spot on his back to try to tempt porpoise to hit them that way instead of on the front of their head.
Right.
So, I mean, it's really just nature at work and then imitating it here.
Okay, sounds good. Any other hot tips for people on jig heads?
No, not off the top of my head. We're going to talk about the shrimp tails over here.
Oh yeah,
we
did forget about that. So
that's something that really Fathom only does. That is a great thing, especially during trout season. For anybody who doesn't know it, that's a shrimp's natural motion is to run backwards. So instead of pulling a shrimp bait forward, you can hook that into your gulp, cut the tail off, run that in there, or even if you're feeling real froggy when you're trout fishing, you can pop the tail off a live shrimp and run that through there. And it's just something a little extra different that nobody else does that mimics nature.
Yeah, and it helps too with the fall. Like the fall action's real slow with that flat tail. So like if you're throwing a shrimp, in the fall for trout fishing, you want it to fall a little bit slower. So it does help. And yeah, that was something we came up with a couple years ago. And I was always trying to find a bait that I could pull naturally backwards, and nothing looked right.
That's
so
right.
The problem was you didn't have enough weight in the towards the tail. So we come up with those jig tails, and they've been very successful, especially in the fall, and then for flounder too, just drifting for flounder with like a gulp shrimp or something like that. So yeah, you guys, if you hadn't tried that yet, the jig tails are really hot. And yeah, so we just wanted to go over some jig heads. I really appreciate you coming in today, and
thanks for having me.
We'll send you with a free pack of jig heads just for your time. So, and again, appreciate Matt coming in. Matt Littleton's in Swansboro, North Carolina. Friendly City Fishing.
Yep.
And look him up on Facebook. He's always put me on a lot of fish because I need a lot of help catching fish. So, no, he's a great guy. If you're ever in Swansboro, look him up. And again, Brandon with Fathom Inshore. Thanks for stopping by.